The island of Sodor is a huge island, located next to the Isle of Man in Great Britain. Its biggest railway is the NorthWestern, which is home to many famous engines. Henry the Green Engine is a credit to the railway, but let's find out how exactly he rose to fame. Thomas and Friends, Henry the Green Engine.
Only one more stop now, Henry. Then you can rest.
Thank you, sir. I feel so weak.
I know, old boy, but you're still really useful.
Good evening, Henry. Did you whine again today?
James, please treat me with sympathy.
Don't be stupid, Henry. Why should I?
Because I suffered dreadfully, and no one cares.
Rubbish, Henry. You don't work hard enough. Lift a wheel and pull your weight, like any other engine.
Says the engine who worked so hard he needed bootlaces to pull a train.
Be quiet, Henry. At least I don't complain all the time.
No, you just brag about your paintwork.
You're just jealous that you're not as splendid as I am. Goodbye.
The next morning, Henry's driver arrived.
It's not looking good, old boy. Sometimes you can pull trains, but sometimes you have no strength at all. The Fat Controller's coming to talk about your progress.
Will I be scrapped?
Of course not, Henry.
The driver was a middle-aged man named Robert Samuels. Robert cared a lot about Henry and believed in him, but at this point, even he thought that Henry's next stop was the scrapyard. He wouldn't dare tell Henry he thought this. Henry felt bad enough without knowing that he was doomed. Later that day, the Fat Controller arrived.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Henry, and Mr. Samuels. I have bad news.
Henry's heart sank.
You are too expensive, Henry. You've had lots of new parts and new paint too, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you.
Henry's eyes swelled up. He was trying to fight tears. Robert was disgusted.
If I may say so, sir, Henry may be a bad steamer, but he has emotions and feelings. You can't just cast him aside because he doesn't work.
You are correct, Mr. Samuels. Henry deserves all the chances he can get. This afternoon, I shall personally assess Henry's condition by riding with you in his cab.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
I won't let you down, sir.
I know you won't, old boy.
The Fat Controller was waiting when Henry came to the platform. He had taken off his hat and coat and put on overalls.
Beep, beep, all aboard.
Henry was determined that this time he would pull his train and be on time.
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Henry is a bad steamer, sir. I've built up his fire, but it doesn't give enough heat.
I see. I will do it. I will do it.
Henry approached Edward's station. He tried to go on, but he didn't have enough steam. Sadly, Robert stopped the train outside the station.
Oh dear, my next stop is the scrapyard.
Edward pulled in to take the train.
I'm sorry, Henry.
Don't be. It's my fault.
No, it's not, Henry. Stop doubting yourself. You can only succeed if you believe that you can. You are a brave engine, Henry.
Thank you, Edward. Edward, after how I've been treating you, why are you being so kind to me?
Because I don't hold grudges, Henry. A new day is a new beginning. Goodbye, Henry. Remember what I said.
Meanwhile, the Fat Controller was concerned. Sir Topham Hatt was a very strict man. His engines being really useful mattered a lot to him. But Topham cared the most about the well-being of his engines. To Sir Topham, his engines were people. Children, in a way. He was their father, making sure they were safe and stayed out of trouble. Topham would have rather jumped off the peak of Coldie Fell than ever scrap an engine, no matter how much they were failing.
What do you think is wrong, fireman?
Excuse me, sir, but the coal is wrong. We've had a poor lot lately, and today it's worse. The other engines can manage, they have big fireboxes. Henry's is small and can't make the heat. With Welsh coal, he'd be a different engine.
It's expensive, but Henry must have a fair chance. James shall go and fetch some.
An hour later, James was given the news.
You want me to get special coal for that lazy green whale?
That's exactly what they want you to do.
I won't. Henry doesn't need it. He just wants it to get out of work.
Don't be ridiculous. Come on.
James sighed and puffed off to get the coal. The next morning, a surprise awaited Henry. His crew was excited.
Now we'll show them, Henry, old fellow.
This is my chance to prove myself.
Henry's fire had already been lit, so the fireman made it carefully. He put large lumps of coal like a wall round the outside. Then he covered the glowing middle part with smaller lumps.
You're spoiling my fire.
Wait and see. We'll have a roaring fire just when we want it.
He was right. When Henry reached the platform, the water was boiling nicely, and he had to let off steam to show how happy he was. He made such a noise that the Fat Controller came out to see him.
How are you, Henry? Beep, beep, beep. I've never felt better, sir. Glad to hear it. Have you a good fire, driver?
Never better, sir, and plenty of steam.
No record breaking. Don't push him too hard.
Henry won't need pushing, sir. I'll have to hold him back.
Goodbye, sir. Thank you for giving me a second chance. You're welcome, Henry.
Henry had a lovely day. He had never felt so well in his life.
Come on, faster, faster.
Steady, old fellow. There's plenty of time.
Henry arrived 10 minutes earlier at the junction. Thomas bustled in and was stunned to see Henry.
Where have you been, lazybones? I can't wait for dawdling tankages like you. Goodbye.
Thomas was dumbfounded.
Whoosh! Have you ever seen anything like it?
No, I haven't. Neither have I.
Well done, Henry. You did it.
Thank you, sir.
Henry's crew left, and Henry was so tired after his long day that he was soon fast asleep. The next morning, the Fat Controller was sitting in his office. He was wondering what the best strategy was for Henry. The Welsh coal was good, but there had to be better options. The Fat Controller sat down and opened his newspaper. There, on the front page, he saw it. It was a large picture of Crew, a workshop that dealt with engines like Henry. They could give Henry a full overhaul, and he would work well for the rest of his days. The Fat Controller decided to arrange Henry's trip to Crew immediately, but first he decided to give Henry a fishy challenge. Lots of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. The passenger ships have spotless paint and shining brass. Other ships, though smaller and dirtier, are important too. They take coal, machinery, and other things abroad and bring back meat, timber, and other things the people of Sodor need to survive. Fishing boats also come there. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of the fish is sent to shops in the town, and some go in a special train to other places far away. This train is called the Flying Kipper. Henry had been making progress with his special coal. He was doing so well that the Fat Controller decided to give Henry the task of pulling the Flying Kipper. Robert parked Henry in his shed. He had news for his friend.
We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the Flying Kipper.
The smelly fish train?
Yes. Think of it as a test of skill, because if we pull it nicely, I think that the Fat Controller will let you pull the Express. Only don't tell Gordon.
No, I wouldn't set him off, though that would be lovely.
Henry didn't get much sleep that night. He dropped off at 10:30 p.m. and woke up at 4:30 a.m. before puffing into the harbor. He arrived at 5 o'clock and backed onto the train.
Oh, look! A green whale!
Any nonsense from you imbeciles, and you'll regret it.
The trucks groaned and kept quiet. Men hustled and shouted, loading the vans with crates of fish. The last door banged. The Flying Kipper was ready to go. A yellow signal appeared, and Henry whooshed past. They couldn't know that the points from the main line to a siding were frozen, and that the signal had been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. James was waiting on the siding to let the Flying Kipper pass.
This snow is going to get on my beautiful paintwork.
His driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the brake van.
The Kipper is due. Who cares? This is good cocoa. Come on, fireman, back to our engine. But I haven't finished my cocoa.
Then there was trouble. Robert and the fireman jumped clear before the crash. Henry lay surprised. James's fireman waved his empty mug.
You clumsy great engine! The best cup of cocoa I've ever had, and you bump into me and spit it all. You're joking. There's just been a huge accident. This poor engine is off the track, and we're not dead, and all you care about is your stupid cocoa? You can shove that cocoa right where the sun does not shine and get help.
The fireman muttered about his cocoa as he went to telephone for help.
Are you alright, Henry?
Oh. Oh. I think I'll live.
I'm sorry, Henry. I should have noticed the signal.
It's not your fault.
Soon the breakdown gang arrived, and Henry was put back on the rails. The Fat Controller arrived. Henry was anxious. What would he have to say about the accident?
The signal was down, sir. Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you as a crew. A fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. Then you'll feel a different engine, and won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice? Yes, sir.
The Fat Controller was good as his word. The next day, Henry steamed into crew. A workman walked up to him.
Hello there. You must be Henry. I've heard all about you. You're for an overhaul, I believe. Right, well, we'll get that sorted.
The workman smiled.
Right, I can give you a bunch of different styles. What do you think?
No. No. Ooh, yes, I like that. It looks a bit like Gordon from my railway. Oh, he'll be jealous. Yes, I'll take that one, please.
Life at crew was boring at first, but then Henry met a nice young engine called David. David was bright green. He was shaped a little like a diesel, but his tiny funnel begged to differ.
So, why are you here?
Not for the same reasons as you. My controller is a cruel man. He only sent me here because I'm popular with the passengers. While sending me here costs him money, it saves him more. I'm going to be overhauled like you, but not because my controller cares.
Henry thought about this. He was a lucky engine. All over England, engines were being scrapped. Even Edward was the sole survivor of his kind, but Henry hadn't, and never would. Join that list. The overhaul took a whole year, but on November 22nd, 1936, Henry the Green Engine set off back to Sodor, looking and feeling like a different engine. Robert was impressed by the overhaul.
They've done it, Henry. You're the engine we always knew you were.
Henry smiled. He knew his driver was right. Crowds of people waited to see Henry in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers.
Beep, beep. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. But not everyone was so impressed with Henry's new shape.
Why should Henry have a new shape? A shape good enough for me is good enough for him. He goes gallivanting off to crew, leaving us to do his work. It's disgraceful.
Gordon paused.
And there's another thing. Henry whistles too much. No respectable engine ever whistles loudly at stations. It isn't wrong, but we just don't do it.
Henry was pleased with his shape, so he didn't pay attention to Gordon's rude remarks.
Oh, never mind. I'm glad you're home again. I like your whistling.
Goodbye, Henry. We are glad to have you with us again, but be sure to remember what I said about whistling.
Later that day, Henry was pulling a slow train.
Gordon is so rude. He just doesn't care about anything or anyone. Other than himself, of course.
I know, my friend. Just don't listen to him. Engines like that always get what's coming to them. And look at you. You're amazing. Anyone who insults your overhaul is quite frankly an idiot.
Henry stopped at Edward Station.
Hello, Henry. It's marvellous to have you back. You look incredible. I was pleased to hear your happy whistle yesterday.
Thank you, Edward. Shh, shh. Can you hear something?
Edward listened. Far away, but getting louder and louder, was the sound of an engine's whistle.
Sounds like Gordon, and it ought to be Gordon, but Gordon never whistles like that.
It was Gordon. He came rushing down the hill at a tremendous rate. He didn't look at Henry, And he didn't look at Edward. He was purple in the boiler and whistling fit to burst. He screamed through the station and disappeared.
Well,
It isn't wrong, but we just don't do it.
And he told Edward what Gordon had said.
I see. Good timing.
Meanwhile, Gordon screeched along the line. People came out of their houses, air raid sirens started, fire brigades got ready to go out, horses upset their carts, and old ladies dropped their parcels. At the big station, the noise was awful. Porters and passengers held their ears. The fat controller held his ears too. He gave a lot of orders, but no one could hear them, and Gordon went on whistling. At last, he clambered into Gordon's cab.
Take him away and stop that noise.
Henry and Robert were carrying on with the slow train. Both found the express engine situation quite hilarious.
Like I said, he got what was coming to him.
Quite right, driver.
Henry returned home to find Gordon very embarrassed.
It isn't wrong, but we just don't do it.
No one mentioned whistles. As the year went on, Henry's performance vastly improved. He was able to pull more trains with more power. He was teased by Percy for having a small funnel and needing a scarf. But Percy got one of his own later that day. One lovely Saturday morning, Henry was puffing along. The sun shone, the fields were green, the birds sang. Henry had plenty of steam in his boiler, and he was feeling happy.
I feel so well, I feel so well.
Me too, Henry. I love a sunny day.
Trickety truck.
Henry saw some boys on a bridge.
Beep beep, hello.
Henry whistled again, expecting a reply.
Beep beep beep. Oh, oh, oh.
The boys didn't wave and take his number, they dropped stones on him instead. They were silly, stupid boys who thought it would be fun to drop stones down his funnel. Some of the stones hit Henry's boiler and spoilt his paint. One hit the fireman on the head as he was shoveling coal, and others broke the carriage windows.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
They've broken our glass. They've broken our glass.
Robert opened the first aid box.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll live. We need to teach those pests a lesson.
I know, and I know just the thing.
They stopped the train, and the guard asked if any of the passengers were hurt. No one was hurt, thankfully, but everyone was livid. They saw the fireman's bumped head and told him what to do for it, and they looked at Henry's paint.
Call the police!
No, leave it to Henry and me. We'll teach those lads a lesson.
What will you do?
Can you keep a secret?
Yes, yes.
Well then, Henry is going to sneeze at them.
Wait, what?
What?
Well, Henry draws air in through his fire and puffs it out with smoke and steam. When he puffs hard, the air blows ashes from his fire into his smoke box, and these ashes sometimes prevent him from puffing properly. When your nose is blocked, you sometimes sneeze. If Henry's smoke box is blocked, I can make air and steam blow the ashes out through his funnel. We'll do it at the bridge and startle those boys.
Henry puffed on to the terminus, where he had a rest. Then he took the train back. Lots of people were waiting at the station just before the bridge. They wanted to see what would happen.
Henry has plenty of ashes. Please keep all windows shut till we pass the bridge. Henry's as excited as we are, aren't you, old fellow?
Henry didn't answer. He was feeling stuffed up. But he winked at Robert. The guard's flag waved, his whistle blew, and they were off. Soon, in the distance, they saw the bridge. There were the boys, and they all had stones.
Are you ready, Henry? Sneeze hard when I tell you. Now!
Tissue!
Smoke, steam, and ashes spouted from his funnel. They went all over the bridge and all over the boys, who ran away as black as soot.
Well done, Henry. They won't drop stones on engines again. Your coat is all black, but we'll rub you down and paint your scratches, and you'll be as good as new tomorrow.
I've heard all about it, Henry. I have to say the resolution was questionable, but I can't really blame you. Anyway, we will identify the boys and contact their parents. They will have to pay a fine for their vandalism. These past few months have been stunning, Henry. I never lost hope on you, and no, you've shown me just why I didn't.
That night, Henry returned home. He felt exhausted.
Get some sleep, old fellow. You deserve it.
Robert, thank you for never giving up on me.
No, Henry. Thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration to engines and people. Thank you for your overwhelming determination. Thank you for being the best friend I've ever had. The island of Soda will go on for centuries, millenniums even, but one day it will be no more. But what will remain forever will be the inspiring legacy of Henry the Green Engine.